Hello, welcome to the Grosseal Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission. I call this meeting to order at 7:32 and ask everyone to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are all here today, so thank you everyone for your presence. You have the agenda before you. Is there any additions or deletions to the agenda as presented? Hearing none, we can make a motion to accept the agenda.
Accept as written.
Second.
Second.
Polly and Bob, all in favor?
No.
Okay. Approval of meeting minutes. So you should have the meeting minutes from our meeting on February 16th. Is there any questions about the meeting minutes as presented? I'll give everyone a minute to take a look at it.
Hope to talk about safety clinic. Maybe change the date. Change the date for the safety clinic that you're thinking on May 2nd. Change the date, and we can talk about it.
Okay, yeah, we can talk about that during the agenda. We're looking at the meeting minutes right now. So if you have anything, comments specifically on the meeting minutes, let us know. Okay. Does anyone have any comments about the meeting minutes?
Motion to approve as written.
I'll second. Okay. Don't think we need a vote, do we?
Nope.
Okay, now called open public comment. Seeing nobody here, I will close open public comment. And what? Do we have someone?
I'm going to talk as the public.
All right, you have the floor, sir.
Okay, I am, as you know, ever promoting Grosseal's all-season rink. It had some great skating if Mother Nature would have provided some ice this year. But that doesn't take away from the fact that we have beautiful rink. If you can drive down Grosseal Parkway and take a look to the south, you can see that rink. It is stunning. It really stands out. So does the $38,000 that we owe to pay for the rink dasher boards. I have asked the Recreation Commission, I have asked every other commission, every township board, every person that I've run into to please help us pay this back. The way that I am trying to help is by doing a couple of steak dinners or chili contests as they come up. And the next steak dinner will be on April 2nd. That's coming up down the road. This is a advanced sale only, folks. I don't have the ability to keep 100 steaks extra that nobody buys. And even I get tired of steak, believe it or not. But we're going to have 10 12-ounce New York strip steak, which is a monster of a steak. We have baked potatoes, rolls, sweet corn, beans. Each steak dinner will cost an adult $15. For your children, if they are 6 to 15, they can come and eat with us for $3. They'll have a hot dog dinner. And if your children are 5 and under, they eat for free. There will be soft drinks available, BYOB. We will have door prizes. We will have a 50-50. You have to be present to win all of these things, of course. But if you want tickets, I happen to have 150 of them here tonight. And you can get them at Township Hall from Dale or Carol. You can get them at the Water's Edge office. You can get them at the police and fire station. Of course, you can get them from Trustee Wally. Ladies and gentlemen, here and watching, we need to pay this back. I know of a better way to do it and have fun, too. Have a great, not a good steak dinner, a great steak dinner. And have a corn on the cob in April, the beginning of April. We're going to have a summer picnic here, and it's still not going to be out of winter. So
Might have the weather to go with it.
And we might have the weather to go with it on April 2nd, sure. So again, I have flyers, I have tickets, and that is the end of my public comment.
Thank you, sir.
But how much do you need? what is the balance of the ice rink?
$38,000.
Okay.
That's 24,000 steak dinners.
No,
2,400 steak dinners, pardon me.
I know you got a lot of steak dinners to sell, and for folks that are not going to be able to attend but are interested in helping out, do you have a suggested amount that you basically be raising from the steak dinner that someone might want to use as a suggested rate for a donation?
I will make no suggestion. Give what your heart desires. You won't break my heart with a small donation, and you'll make my heart swell with a big one. We're going to pay this thing back.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone else want to speak as the public? Hearing none, I'll close public comment. We'll move on to old business. So the first item up would be the Welcome Center literature. So Jane or Bob, I'm not sure which of you want to have the floor.
Want to go for it?
Okay. I already sent you the map and the other half, and I heard from some of you, awesome. And a couple of suggestions, I changed it already. And Brian, you sent me a comment in terms of, I don't know if it's me, we need more enthusiastic. Dan and I talked about it, and we thought that it was already mentioned. Like, grocery offers plenty of opportunity to expose you with restaurants, bars, shopping, golfing. That pretty much covers everything. Plus, the map also shows the picture. Mm-hmm. So, you okay with that, Brian?
Sure.
Okay. And I gave you the bid, and Brian, Bob can talk about the bid.
Seems that the bids all running in, within $100 of each other. It depends. We'll submit 3 bids to the township with this brochure and see if they accept it.
I have looked at 2 bids.
I'm sorry.
There's the third.
Yes. We can get closure on this and get this rolling because we
I
got.
don't need to submit it to the township. It's below the limit.
Okay.
Has anybody had any contact, previous work done by, or?
Media Connection I've had things done with. Jane, you're familiar with ones you're doing online?
These 2 companies, personally not yet, but I've spoken to people online chat to ask questions to make sure the brochure looks good. I talked to one printer in Trenton. Somebody suggested increase the size instead of 11 by 17, put 11.2 times 17.2 to eliminate the border. I learned something. So,
I heard once it goes to print, the printer will eliminate the border, and if we keep it at this size, it also makes it available, if they choose to do so, to be the right size for the welcome centers if later on we choose to put them in a Michigan welcome center. Right now, I think what we're all talking about is passing them around during Island Fest and a few bicycle things to get a feedback on how these brochures are going to be accepted before we go any further with them.
Okay.
Does that sound okay? Because Michigan, MDOT has a specific size they like to have within their welcome centers.
is it 11 by 17 trifold?
I think that's the minimal. 11 by 17. Even as a single fold, it's 11 by 17. I have the literature here for that. We'll also submit this for a later date if we choose to, or get permission, I should say, to submit it to the welcome centers.
Yeah, we could do that. It's a good idea to get a feedback. Donna, she's cool. She printed out a map. She knew I was coming. I don't know. She knew, and she gave me this small paper, and I came up with a miniature brochure.
The pocket size.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I figured maybe for kids. Maybe make a few and put on a booth for Island Fest. I thought that'd be kind of cute. Maybe we can make a few.
Did we solicit any local printers?
The local printer is Media Connection. The others are online that Jane has done.
Where is Media Connection located?
He's in.
I see.
There you go.
I have a suggestion for another printer.
Okay.
And if you're interested in getting it, as I said, you can make a quick selection of the three here, and if you can get a better price from another printer, I don't have a problem with that, and you don't have to do a lot of formality to get these done.
Okay.
It's Printman USA. You know where Bob Joe's is at? 4th Street?
Okay.
Well, they just did my steak dinner tickets.
Ah, okay. Printman USA.
Alex Kennedy is the man's name.
Alex Kennedy?
Alex
Yeah.
Kennedy. And
Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
sure you can get a quick price. What I guess I'm saying is that you don't have to decide tonight, but you certainly don't have to wait for the next meeting. Why don't you take a scan at the three that you've got, decide if one of these three would be the best of the three, and then go out and get a local printer and see how he matches up, and then take the one you want. Is that fine with you, Brian? You don't have to have anything elaborate from the town board to do this.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think this is more of, BPAC just, as individuals working, you're doing, work for the good of the township. So if the township's fine with that, I mean, it's fine with
The township will pay for this out of the BPAC budget.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay, should we look for shock, or should I just go ahead and charge it and send them the bill? How are you going to pay for it? You want me to just buy it and then I send the receipt?
Why don't you get a copy of this down to the Downriver Printer, Printman USA, and then get a price from them. And
Okay, I did go one in Trenton. It was like $600 some, like $200-300 more expensive, so I rejected that.
These here three are all within dollars of each other. And I went with the local media connection because he's also an island resident. The others are online. But if you want us to check out this Alex Kennedy for and USA on 4th Street.
I'm sitting here and thinking about it, and you just brought up something that there's $25 or $50 worth of difference.
And
for
man hours?
4 or 5 hours of work. Do you work for $7.50 an hour? I don't.
So we'll go with
Pick
the
one.
three.
And we'll authorize it, and I'll get Dale to pay for it.
I make a motion. Aaron, you have something to say?
I do. I'm not sure that I understood that this was coming out of BPAC's budget.
Where did you expect it to come from?
Well, whenever we had met at Bob's house, we talked about it would come from the township, was why I think he mentioned presenting it to the township board, and it would be more of a general fund, and not specifically BPAC, because this seems like something that would benefit the entire township.
It'll come out of the BPAC budget.
Well, I was hoping the township fund, being that it's about the township. I know we are the ones doing all the legwork, but I didn't realize it would be a BPAC.
$300 isn't going to kill the BPAC. Let's get this done.
One other question. You had mentioned Printmaster. I don't have a copy of that bid.
Here. Printmaster was talking about Printman USA on 4th Street. That's the one we just dropped from looking into. The one that's coming down to you now with the card is right there.
I see that here. I'm all for the local support of our residents and their private businesses. And my opinion is that we should lean towards that. And if Media Connection is grounded that way, that's the way I would like to vote on it.
So we make a motion to accept this printer.
I do make a motion.
What is the price that again?
Yes. Media Connection it's a local resident, and I support it for that reason.
He is a
Because
local resident.
We're all within a very close budget of each other, so that's who I'm supporting on this.
Okay.
I just wanted to discuss a little bit more. When I've been looking at the document, I've been looking at it through the eyes of something for the township as a whole. Again, I wasn't aware that this would be coming out of our budget, and I understand that it's not a lot of money, so I'm not trying to make a big deal about that, but just that my view, like the way my edits were being done was based on that. So if this is a document that is supposed to be, a BPAC document and it's using our money, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable, taking a little bit more time and fine-tuning the actual material on it. I don't have anything against any of the potential vendors, and I think with you, Bob, and Jane, and everyone else that's worked on has done some good work, but I'd feel more comfortable personally waiting a little longer before saying go and let's print the document.
I agree. Also, again, most of us were surprised, hoping that township would take care of it. One thing that we did as a team at Bob's house was we're going to be promoting, I'm not naming all of them, Alanta, we're going to be making money. They're charging for the booths. We're promoting the recreation department. We're promoting the class that they're charging for. They're looking for donations. So I think we ought to somehow share the expenses.
Now that it's coming under the BPAC, I understand what you're saying. I was hoping township would absorb this. And we are totally going pro, as we all are, pro Grosse Hill, trying to get it out there for everybody to enjoy as we do.
You have to remember, guys, that you worked on it as a committee, you worked on it as BPAC. You didn't involve a great deal of impact on any other commission or committee for input. It's a BPAC document, folks. Well, let's not waste our time. It's a $300 bill. Get over it.
And again, Wally, it's not about the money. I understand that, and duly noted that we didn't reach out to more commissions. So that I think maybe if we're going to continue with the route, we should. I don't care so much about the money. It's just that I want to spend a little bit more time on the document itself.
And I understand that, Brian. And I will remind you that my other committee spent $4,000 to put together a brochure on greenways and open spaces, and it came out of their budget, too. There is precedent for what I'm saying.
Understood, sir. Thank you. So, that's just my opinion. I guess we'll go around that.
Why don't you just take it and make up your mind what printer you want to use, number one. And then finish up your details as you wish, and then poll your committee here. Say, okay, this is our finished product, and this is who we're going with. And you don't need to wait for another meeting. I guess that's what I'm saying. You don't have to wait for another meeting, Brian. If it takes you a week to get this done, so be it.
Okay.
But everybody will support that.
Everyone feel comfortable with that? Should we make a motion based on that?
I guess I just have a question. So does this mean that it does not have to go to the board for approval?
Correct.
If it is being paid for, done, and
Yeah, you have
facilitated?
a budget already. You have a source of funding.
Okay.
That's what the budget's there for. You're not spending $30,000, you're spending $300.
And I think we have about $1,000 budget. I could be wrong. So, see how much we've spent so far. I know we've spent a little bit this year, but it's good to know what the balance is, and that way we can take that into consideration as well. But I feel comfortable just at least selecting a vendor. If we want to make a formal process on that, whether we choose to, like Wally said, push the button in a week or push the button in a month, whatever it takes. We'll do that later, but I do feel comfortable about a specific vendor, if that helps you out, Bob.
I think it would help everybody to get it going. And if it took us a week or, like you said, a month to get it done, we will have somewhat of a time frame because we're looking to get this out with our things that we're putting on with the public, along with other, whether it be Tour de Ile, whether it be lazy rides. We're hoping to pass these flyers out and get them done.
Mm-hmm.
But I was under the impression anything that we had to do like this, it would go in front of the township, but Wally says it doesn't have to.
No,
He's approved
it's already allocated.
It's almost like eliminating a stepping stone in a sense.
So Media Connection was the low bid and the local bid?
The local bid, yes.
Local bid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I guess I'll make a motion that to make the Media Connection as the preferred vendor for this product if it moves forward.
Second the motion.
Now everybody can vote, huh?
I'm just writing it down. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
6-1. Okay, move on. Bike to School Day.
Bike to School Day, I mentioned before, will be May 4th unless there's some weather, and then it'll be May 6th. We have a rain date. Jane has already made an awesome flyer, and did it already go in the electronic backpack, or it's set to go in the electronic backpack? It already went. Awesome. And she had set up the video contest again, and hopefully with more notice, we'll get more participants in that. It's a nice way to include like the middle school and the high school. Obviously, the elementary school can participate as well, but they tend to be better participants of the actual Bike to School Day. I've been working with PAT and PTO. PAT is, this is their, I don't know, third or fourth year, so they've kind of taken it and run with it, which is awesome, and PTO has been great as well. As far as getting handouts, things like that. And Al had mentioned having a safety clinic, and I'll let him talk more about that, and I'll try to coordinate with the schools and see if we can get it during a school day to catch the widest audience. But again, I'll have to talk to the principals and see if we can work that. And then also, PAT had brought up that they were a little concerned about crossing at Park Lane. I know that we've had additional police presence in the past. They've been really great about patrolling and helping with certain crossing areas, but I guess there was a parent volunteer who did the crossing last year, and I guess it was kind of a big undertaking because you've seen, you have Mario Andretti pulling in and out of that parking lot at Park Lane. So we're hoping to get a police officer. Al said that he would maybe even be able to do it.
So the concern is with the parking lot at Park Lane or the intersection of
I think it's more the intersection.
Okay.
And I think that's all, unless anybody has any questions or further suggestions.
Aaron, when you said intersection, do you mean Park Lane and Church, or do you mean Brookshire and Park Lane?
I think I mean Park Lane and Church, but this coming from someone who sent me an email. So I'll double check on that email. I can even forward it to you, and if we need any further clarification, I'll contact the person.
Okay, so we have our information complete when we go to if we ask the reserves to step up and do traffic control for us, we can be more specific when we ask them.
Oh, definitely.
And we're still going to try and do a safety clinic before. Yeah. I know they want to change Monday, maybe the week before.
I think that's on the agenda coming up after Lazy Rides. I think Al's going to talk more about that.
Yeah. So I'll just make a comment that if you need any help from us, just let us know and we'll be happy to help you out.
Okay. We might use the Facebook page to post a lot of the updates. In the past, I've used the Walk Bike to School website. And it's been an okay website, but they changed their policy, so I can't make changes myself. I have to send an email to somebody, and then they make the changes. I'm afraid that there wouldn't be enough real-time information, so we might use the Facebook page to get out to everybody, especially if there's a rain day, or if there's a rain delay or something.
Yeah. Jane and I will be happy to help you with that.
Okay.
And just one quick diversion. I noticed, Jane, you were going to do a drive to get up the likes on the Facebook page. Were we successful with getting up to 500 likes? You still in the 490s?
The latest.
Well, either way, we were really close. 500 people as far as liking the page and getting alerts about it. That's good. And when this township system gets, we can provide additional alerts about walk to school day, bike to school day, and the rain dates. I think that would be great as well. So, thanks. So if there's no other questions about the bike to school day, I think we can move right into the safety clinics and come back for the lazy ride stuff.
Not a question, but I will send a letter to Donna's office about moving the bike rack, just like I did
Oh,
before.
yes, thank you.
I will take care of that very soon. Okay, the latest number is 489. We have 11 left. The maintenance must run out it. So we make the 22, we need 22, now we need 11. So we're almost there.
Check us out on Facebook.
So, Alan, do you have anything that you want to say about the safety clinic?
Well, we think that it's important. Our motto is safety first. So we started talking about the idea of putting together just a safety class for the kids, and I think we've limited it to the school grades, not the middle school or the high school, and it would be comprised of 3 different areas. One, fitting and use of the helmet, which is important. If it doesn't fit right, it won't protect you. The second one would be rules of the road and the bike path, more etiquette training than anything else. And the third one would be just general safety on your bike, making sure your tires are full and your seat's not loose, and your bike is generally safe, and maybe have a bell on it and check it for a bell, and the second aspect would be just get the kids fired up to participate in Bike to School Day, and it acts as a reminder to the kids. So if we have it, that's why I want to have it just before Bike to School Day, so the kids get fired up and get ready for it, and it gives them time to get everything ready, their helmet, their bike, and plan for the day. So that's where I'm kind of going with it. We talked about May 2nd, the Monday before the event. We can move back the week before. It's not that big of a deal. We just wanted to make sure that we got it just before the event, so it would be fresh in the kids' minds.
I'm looking forward to helping you with this. Are we looking to do something at the township schools, or are we thinking about doing it at the Commons?
Well, that's to be determined, really, because we have a couple options. We can go an hour at each school. If the kids can get out and attend it. It wouldn't be a rally of any sort. It would just be, an informational 1-hour event. We could have it independent of the school, maybe in the public safety building, or if weather permitting, we could head at the Commons after school and let the kids come there, and parents. I would like parents to attend simply because they're the ones that are going to be fitting helmets and checking bikes, and they need a little bit of input and a little bit of education on bike use on the roadway or on the path. So it's important for parents to attend. We need to put our finger on exactly the most effective avenue. Is it going to be at the schools, or is it going to be after school, where we're encouraging them to go out for a bike ride at that point, to come to Commons, and I love the Commons idea. I didn't think about it too much, but since you mentioned that, it's just seems like they would really enjoy that, and promote a little bit of camaraderie with biking with the other kids.
And with the community, too.
Absolutely.
There's plenty of parking there if they wanted to bring their bikes by car, depending, however they want to travel there. Brings them into our downtown area. Gets them out. Commons is a beautiful little area right there.
It is promoting the Commons, too, and it's center point of our bike path, so.
Great idea, Alan.
This is just an idea, and I know that Aaron was talking about working with the principals already. What if we did, and don't shoot me because this is more work on your part, but I was wondering, what if we did 3 of them? Did one at Park Lane, did one at Meridian, and that way those can either be outside in the front, or if it's raining, that they can be, maybe we can get use of the gymnasium or something, so that way we can still hold the event. And then have one at the Commons, which is open to everybody, and maybe the kids are excited and they want to come to another one, so they went to the one at their local school, and then they'd want to come to the one at the Commons afterwards, and that's when you can do the group bike ride.
That's fine with me. That's it's free promotion, and we have to take advantage of that. And if it means several, then we'll do several.
To email or a study session and pick the dates and
exactly, and hopefully it won't take us long to set up the program. I mean, it's just, I think the hardest thing is going to be coordinating where we're going to have it.
Well, remember remember I sent an email for April 23rd in the evening from 6 to 7, safety class, 7 to 8, bike repair, and 8 to 9, glove. Did you get that email? I was hoping maybe we could do it from 6 to 7 on April 23rd at the Common. We got the Common.
Yes,
We
we
can
should
do
piggyback any event we
registration.
can, just to be more efficient, and I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
Unless we can come up with a reason we shouldn't do it, I'm all for that date.
Okay, so
Sounds good to me.
Sure. 23rd, that's
So-
about a week, a little bit more than a week out from the Bike to School Day.
What day is that?
Saturday from 6 to 9ish, and I thought maybe Bob and you can take care of the safety car, and then Al Patrice are coming in for a bike repair, and then 8 o'clock Glover. And I already spoke to John Bergen from Rotary, and he's okay with that. And I'm going to make a flyer very soon. And it's already posted. I sent it into Trenton Tribune. So it's out there now.
Oh, absolutely. That starts off our season, too, and that's kind of a great way to do it.
Right. Correct.
Okay, April 23rd. I was looking at the wrong one, so that is Saturday. That sounds good.
It's going to be a good day. A lot of people get together on their bikes and discuss safety and then do a bike ride after. That's wonderful.
So would we want Aaron to still look into doing it at the schools as well, or do we feel that one event is plenty?
My opinion, one, parent, I mean, I don't deal with schools myself, but parent, hurry, drop the kids off to go to work, or hurry, drop off and take the baby. They might forget the bike and the helmet. Saturday, family, let's go together. So I think one on Saturday would be enough.
You know, it might be unproductive at school if we want the parents to attend because they just can't attend during those hours. So the more I think about the detail of having the parent there, it is important, and the 23rd may be the day to do it.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking more after school. I just thought that came to my mind was at the beginning of, I believe, the school year over at Park Lane, they had a movie night, and it dragged out, probably like 200 kids. It was a huge amount of people. There was plenty of family. So that's what I had envisioned, but maybe it just doesn't make sense right now. So I defer to whatever you guys are comfortable with.
I was talking about last year, Brian did a great presentation at Safety Town. You might be able to rock a bike with
That'd be
these other
Bob.
kids.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. You. Yes. I was nervous talking to a room full of children, but we had a good time. It was fun. But to bring up, let's see how many people turn out for this on the 23rd. 'Cause I don't want any kids to miss this. If we see that some didn't turn out for it, we can still have after the Bike to School Day, a week after, have something at school to get the kids that aren't able to come out for a ride or whatever. We can do a follow-up after. We do a little survey to see how many kids show up. I'd like to get all these kids on this island in the elementary level well educated on the use of a bike and safety. I think that's our main goal here, is to make sure everybody's safe.
Okay, play it by ear.
And I was just kind of thinking maybe another place, because the gazebo is nice for a certain amount of people. You can be protected if it rains. Well, over at the recreation department, we have the big, right by the side of the pool, the big, what do you call those coverings?
The pavilion.
Pavilion,
Yeah, the smaller pavilion there.
Down by the pool wouldn't be bad. Not the farm, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we did the farm last year, we think it was
Saw
a
the
little
bean
too
path.
insulated. And so
Oh,
we didn't get a
yeah,
lot
not
of
the farm.
fly-through traffic.
Yeah, more
Off the
water's
beaten
edge,
path.
I was thinking.
That's a good one.
Great.
We'll work that out and talk about that.
Thanks, everyone.
Just a little bit of an update on the farm. I'm sorry, at the pavilion. Remember, they were building a replacement building there, and we're putting a roof on there, and there is a lot of things in the way there. And that area isn't the very best to get a bicycle to. Come down through the golf course, but that's really the only good way. Just consider it.
Yeah.
We may be done with the roof by that point, but the building will be going full-fledged at that point, and there'll be trucks in the way and scrap metal. And if you get a couple hundred kids there,
Yeah.
of course, we could have races inside of the rink.
Awesome. So back to lazy rides. I didn't want to skip that. So Jane, I know you started talking about the lazy ride April 23rd. Is there anything else that you want to say about the lazy rides at this time?
It's already posted in the Trenton Tribune. It'll be coming out April 1st sometime. And interesting thing, I think Brian forwarded me or you gave someone an email from Trenton Tribune. He called me, or I called him and asked questions more about the lazy ride. How did he come up with the idea? What did he do? I'm thinking, I had a 50-minute fame. Oh, might be in the newspaper.
Great.
But I applied to my committee together as a group, and he was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. So we might get pictures. So I was hoping he'd come tonight and take a picture of the committee. So it's exciting.
Very cool.
Did a nice job on the lazy ride flyer for this year. It looks good with all the pictures you
Thank you.
incorporated on it.
Thank you. We have history now.
Okay, so the next two items, additional commissioners update and township township millage discussion. I wanted to combine them and just have Wally talk about them now if you're ready to, sir.
Sure. As you know, we have talked about both of these subjects on more than one occasion. And last night I had the opportunity to present them both to my fellow trustees and the public. I don't know if any of you watched it on GITV, but it was brief, and I suspected it would be brief. You have to broach such a subject and then let the trustees think about it, and that's fair. And then we'll come back at the next township board meeting, which will be now not in 2 weeks, but in 4. The next meeting was canceled. Okay. And at that point, two things should happen. Number one, there should be an action item on the agenda to add 2 places to this committee. And I'm kind of comfortable with them saying yes. I presented the BPAC again last night as the hardest charging committee in the township. And that when an event happens, it's all hands on deck. This committee doesn't sit behind a chair once a month and think about things that other people should do. These are folks that have busted their tails to make our bike paths as good as anywhere in the world, and then promoted their use. And you're all out there, and I'm so doggone proud to represent that. And I tried to convey that yesterday. And what I just said was that we need more horses. This wagon is getting bigger. The fact is that we've got darn near 2 more miles of bike path to take care of than we did when I first started this term. Some of those things we're going to have to do a little stroll again, another path assessment. And there are some sections in our bike path that are going to need more than just a little fluff and buff. And when you look at the remaining amount in your budget, your prior year resources, you have $100,000 left. This is first the budget that starts April 1st. You can't blow the whole $100,000 because if you have an emergency, you wouldn't have any funding to fix it. So what was presented was a split of, $50,000 and $50,000. 51 for a reserve for future maintenance, and 49 for things like seal coating, perimeter deep brushing, and mowing, and things like that. I brought along a copy of that from the township board budget. But, it's a cold splash of water when somebody says, guys, this year, we probably won't have the money to spend like we had in previous years. And so that's the reason that we've presented this millage request. I told them that we have been talking about the millage request for several months, and that I was leaning towards a $0.25 mill. And we had not made a formal recommendation or a real deep analysis of that, but if you take a tenth of a mil, like we used to be, you'll make about $55,000 to $60,000 a year, and that's not enough to take care of the bike paths. So I was looking for at least double that, and that's why I asked for a quarter mil. There was some remark by one of the trustees that you ought to go for a tenth of a mil for a longer period of time. And, when you think about that, that means that you let the bike paths fall apart for a few years, and then you take all that money you accumulated over 3 years and fix them all again. You're kind of running in place. So I am telling you that the township board wishes to have a study session with us about this bike path millage. There are 2 other millages on the ballot in August, and those are important millages also, but I think this is also. So basically what we did last night is we broached the millage discussion and planted the seed for 2 more additional commissioners. The first will come rather quickly. The second one, get ready to put on your battle helmets, all right? Because we're going to have to talk as a team to convince this township board that what makes sense is not a tenth of a mil, all right? And the people in Grosse Ile love our bike paths. I think that they will support our millage.
I was just out running the other day in portions of Horse Mill, especially after, I guess, east of the bird sanctuary. So between that and Park Lane, there's parts that you could see some serious edge cracking going on, and if we don't address that soon, some of that path is going to look like some of the path near the airport area. So I'm preaching to the converted over here about making sure we have enough money to.
Oh yes.
Nip
We're all going to be on the same team arguing this. I have told Ted Vados and I are going to shotgun this study session. All right.
Great.
So we will be the 2. I would suggest that this committee decide on a couple of good evenings. Give me a couple of evenings that I can propose to Ted to see if he's familiar, and then let's get this study session rolling. And I mean in 2 weeks, not in 2 months.
Okay.
All right? This is important.
Thank you, sir.
That's all I got to say about that. We have, no, maybe I don't.
Oh?
Maybe I don't. Again, I can't tell you how proud I am of this group. And I brag about this group to everybody. This should be the template for the way every commission and committee runs. I admire the DPS. I think they do a great job, too. But they don't do any greater a job than this committee does. Take pride in that. There's your big raise for this year, guys. All right?
Thank you, Wally. Thank you, sir. Any other questions or comments based on Wally's presentation? Hearing none, move on to new business. First item we have is sign changes. So just as a little bit of a summary over here, subject came up about benches, because of the rains, and based on that, there was some emails going back and forth talking about, well, what other changes should we be putting in with DPS based on the assessments that we did last year. So I know Bob and I had a couple of them that we were looking at doing, and then the subject came up that, well, maybe we should be looking at this a little bit more comprehensively. Look at it, having a study session, maybe a couple boots, on the ground, getting stuff done to begin with before the study session, and then bring it back to the committee and make sure that it's something that majority of us feel comfortable with before making recommendations to the township board about potential changes. So based on that, Alan and I had been looking at going out and looking at the signs. I haven't done anything new, but I feel like my assessment from last year for my section still pretty much stands. And I'm hoping to have set up a study session for that in the coming weeks. With that, Bob, it looks like you're trying a bit to put in a couple pieces, so please feel free to speak.
Our survey that all of us did there last year. First of all, let me thank Don and the DPS for jumping on. I called in and asked that this bench that was sitting in water from a natural runoff be moved, and a sign on Church and Meridian to be straightened up that somehow got bent over to the bike path. And within that day, they took care of it. So I want to thank everybody for that. But as far as the signage goes, maybe we do need to do another study session. But it's still what you had first recalled about Macomb and Meridian and the Grosse Hill Parkway, the stop signs. They're kind of redundant because you're being controlled by a traffic light. I took pictures of this, and you're looking at the white sign saying you can cross, but yet there's a sign saying here, stop. And I understand. I don't want to put anybody in jeopardy by removing a sign if anybody feels that way. But what it does is when you have two things telling you opposite things to do, you create confusion, not just with the cyclist, but where I find a lot of the confusion being is truthfully with the motorist, because they look at it as the bicyclist has to stop because there's a stop sign, but yet I have the white sign that says I can go, and I've had several motorists yell at me, you didn't stop when I've got the white sign to go, because they either wanted to make a turn or get around or just get going. And at that time, I'm not the only one that has run into this problem, but and then think about, well, should we stop? You've got a double whammy here. I actually timed the lights to the light on Meridian, north and southbound at Macomb is 28 seconds. At Macomb, going on to Meridian, the timing of the light is only 18 seconds. But people want to get through that intersection when they're turning. So there's the dilemma, the conundrum. So where do we go? Do we eliminate signs and then something happens? If we don't eliminate signs and then something does happen, well, he should have stopped. The white sign said we should have went, yada, yada, yada.
I would suggest that you take your study, formulate it street by street. We'll make a presentation to Joe Porcerella. Should be an authority.
Yes. Study session or come to one of our meetings?
Good. I don't think we'd want to put him on the spot and say,
I would
yes
never.
or no for this.
I drive around here.
But if you gave him a list of 12 things to look at and gave him a month to look at them, at least you get some justification. I have asked Joe, frankly, to consider a no right on red at that intersection. And he says no.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
He says no.
Adamantly.
That will cause more problems than it will fix.
I did that also on my survey, a note right on red on Macomb and there, but only a seasonal thing because we are becoming a truly heavily traveled bike community. And I had written down from May 15th to October 15th, no turn on reds because of high volume pedestrians, cyclists. Yeah.
You're being too nice.
I guess. I'm going to put this in writing and maybe drop it off with Joe and let him go over it because this is his forte, and we'll see what we can get going with this.
Get input from our police department and recognize that those signs were all put up time in the past when different thoughts were in place, all right? Mm-hmm. So when the sign says this way and the road goes this way, which one do you follow? I appreciate that. Yeah. That's a redundancy. But when we're talking about hierarchy signals, police officer has got the highest hierarchy, followed by a lit traffic signal. Everybody biking or driving should know that. But you know what? In a tie, you both lose.
Never challenge the car. Anybody out there, don't ever challenge a car.
Don't take that chance thinking that because he's got a red light, he's going to let you go. Don't do that.
I appreciate your suggestion about including Chief Porcerelli. I was thinking that we did want to have some sort of authority figure to move these past, and I can't think of anyone better than Chief to look at that. My only thing I'd suggest is rather than us piecemeal taking our stuff to the chief, again, let's have that study session, do our homework, have a list that we all agree upon,
yes,
and have the reasons why we think that this needs to be either removed or something needs to be added, and then show a justification. So we do our homework. There's different documents out there from the Michigan Manual for Uniform Traffic Control Devices, from ASHTO toe. We make sure that we cite that stuff, and that way we have a good argument for bringing it before the chief, and we have a great discussion. And some things maybe we're in the right on, other things maybe Chief's going to tell us no, and he's going to tell us exactly why. And
Chief might also tell us that we might have to go back to the township engineer, who had something to do with putting those signs there. So, again, let's give everybody the opportunity. I don't want this commission to have any liability as we're all concerned. It'll be by consensus.
Mm-hmm. Great. Any other questions or comments about that item?
Yeah, I do have a question on the stop signs that are currently on the bike path. Was it township engineers who placed those signs there?
Those were part of the construction requirements from Wayne County when that path was put in.
Okay.
Right? Now, if you threw away all of the signs on the bike path, period, it hurt my feelings one bit. But I'm only one guy with one opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're oversigned.
Right. Okay.
But again, those were put in, and those were part of the specifications for installing the paths where you see those signs. So we just can't go out there and pop them out when nobody's looking.
Right. And that's a discussion, Lorinda and I had that discussion. That's what we were trying to figure out, who placed the signs there. So, because we didn't want to arbitrarily have our maintenance guys go out and just pluck them out, and then
that was kind of the caution that I sent out, that please don't do any vigilante work here, guys. We have a side burning party that won't burn anyway.
Yeah.
Have to pick a study session. Definitely.
So the next item is more of just talking to remind ourselves that in the past we've done these assessments, gone through. Wally already alluded to a little bit of it. Aaron suggested to me in an email that we go out and look at them again as well. So I'll put that out there that spring, it's the perfect time to go out there and figure out what we need as far as pigment, as far as signs, or other enhancements. So I think we got a good list to start with based on everybody's work last year, but things might have changed.
Brian, can I just add to that the sooner you have that thing in my hands before study session, that's great ammunition. Mm-hmm. Let's not put that off for a month.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, let's all email.
You think we can live on $50,000, and here we have $150,000 worth of work, which is needed. So you have to quantify this for them. Mm-hmm. Right now, the way the budget sits for the coming year, unless you get a millage increase, it's going to be a lean spending year for us.
Yep.
If you put a millage in place, you got $100,000 left. You got a chance to do some work. But if you've got $100,000 left in no millage, I would suggest that you put on the brakes and fix only things that bicycles will fall into. And just think about it that way.
Good points. So moving on, the next item I have on here is about coordination with the Downriver Linked Greenways Initiative, DLGI. I've spoken with them in the past. They're cheerleaders for biking in the Downriver area. They've been helping with the city of Trenton with creating that new pathway that's going to be on Jefferson Avenue, connecting Elizabeth Park to the Detroit International Wildlife Refuge. They've been a good coordinating partner with a lot of different institutions, basically making those connections from the Detroit River to the metro parks on the western end and to the I-275 metro trail that can get us to other parts of the region. So they had been working with SEMCOG, Southeast Michigan Council of Governments, as well as the DNR about the Iron Bell Trail, which again is the trail that's going to be going from the western UP, Ironwood, down two routes, one going the west side, one going down the east side of the Lower Peninsula, connecting and meeting together in Belle Isle, hence the name Iron Bell. So part of it's coming through the downriver area, and there is a spur that is coming out to Grosse Ile. So they put in for a grant with the DNR for a gap study. So basically saying, what is the condition of existing facilities on this route that the DNR has identified, and And is there existing sidewalks? Is there existing bicycling facilities? If so, what condition are they in, and where are the gaps? And then to provide a potential cost for basically implementing the whole thing, getting it up to snuff so that way people can use it. They just put out their draft survey. They haven't sent it out to the local agencies. Hopefully we should be receiving one fairly shortly. I did contribute information to them based on our past efforts that we've worked on with the bike path committee that preceded us, as well as our planning efforts where we have identified a gap between the Free Bridge and Meridian, and connecting into our existing pathway system. So this has been there are two ways of looking at that. You could either go down Groseal Parkway, make that connection on road. There's fairly tight right-of-way in that area, as well as in the past we've looked at something called the Chicory to Hickory route. So on my screen, I'm just going to show it to you now if you're not familiar with it. There's a series of roads on the north side of Groseal Parkway, basically from Chicory to Meridian, where you can utilize some of these existing roadways, as well as a road that was platted but never actually built, called, in this Google map it's calling it Lafayette, but basically this right-of-way exists, and it's sometimes a little bit wet, but we might be able to potentially put in a boardwalk in this area and do some improvements on either end to create a nice, more relaxed atmosphere of connection that would basically get you over to Macomb and Meridian roadway. So I included both that option and the Groseal Parkway option to the Downriver Link Greenways to include in the gap assessment. This commits us to nothing. There's nothing moving forward. It's just for informational purposes, so that way if the time comes we can say, well, both of these options were included within the gap study for the Iron Bell Trail, so it might be beneficial if we do put in for a grant with the DNR or the Transportation Alternatives Program or any other grant source. So again, I'm hoping to hear back more information from them within the next coming weeks, but I just want to let everyone know that it has been moving forward. Any questions on that?
Well, I was talking to Bob about the Lafayette, and he told me to focus on Anderson Cut. But hey, they read my mind. I want that to happen. I walked there. It was in somebody's backyard by trying to stay within the boundary. It's really nice, like a little field, a little downhill, and then end of the road. This would be a good spot, Lafayette to Hickory. I like it.
10, 12, 15-year project at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
There were two people on the roads committee when the bike paths were under the roads. They were the Delphi brothers. Since the one has passed away, Jack Delphi remains, and he's been actually supportive of Anderson Cut ever since we started talking about it. But it just never gets any further. It's a nice spot. Yeah. And, if you make it wide enough for a bike, I guess you will find a lot of resistance to it, because it's been traditional resistance. This will be the same resistance that Donna's neighbors will have if you start looking at the cut behind her house. There are some folks that don't want a bicycle path behind their house. True?
In front or behind?
Behind. There is a platted road there that when we put in the wastewater treatment additions that the MDEQ forced us into 12 years ago, I guess it is now. That
Douglas Drive.
It's platted in there. You could put a bike path on top of it, but again, a lot of folks don't want to do that. When we had issues with, for example, sidewalks. And, the safe routes to school issue. A lot of people, even though the property didn't belong to them, didn't want a sidewalk separating their property from the road. So be prepared to be Henry Kissinger. All right? There's going to be a certain amount of resistance to that. And I don't understand why, but I'd have to understand why. I have one vote, and so do they.
And I think that's why all of us are here, and I think that's why we need more boots on the ground, because each one of us is very passionate, and each one of us has a unique gift for talking with the public. And we're hoping, I understand people's concerns. There's a lot of things that, when something's new and something is unknown, naturally you're going to gravitate to what are the negative downsides. But I think with any of these, and I'm going to go in a little more detail about the plan in a minute, but that's why I focused on saying corridors rather than specific types of facilities, because based on public input, both from the public at large as well as the neighborhoods and the neighbors, we want to find something that is a win-win that both the public likes and the homeowners like. So that's why, again, I mentioned that there's two different options here available, and our end goal is providing that connectivity. The way we do that, that's still to be determined.
Both of them are good ones, Lafayette and Anderson Cut.
Anything else on that? Moving right along, I will be quick, but next item I have is some of the work that I've been doing on trying to format our bicycle and pedestrian plan, our non-motorized plan. So at our last meeting, I gave you a summary of stuff that we submitted to Brandy for the Recreation Master Plan update. What I'm here to present to you now is the same information, just in a little bit of a different format that I'm hoping is a little bit more accessible and that people would be able to access at large. So what I've done is, utilizing Wix, which is a web editor, web page platform, I was able to create this page, which is draft. It's not live right now, but it's called Walk, Bike, Hike, Grow Zeal. I was trying to look at a way of connecting hard paths, what we're doing, with the soft paths that the open space is doing, along with all the our great roadways that are bikeable already, that's under DPS control. So what we have here is a landing page, and branding it as your island oasis for walking and biking. To me, that puts a great picture in your head of what you can expect when you come to Grow Zeal. So not only is this web page for something that's our static plan, but it's also could be used as a platform for getting people geeked about coming to the island. So up at the top, we have some links for maps for the plan itself, as well as contact information. I'll get in those in a minute. And down below, I have facilities, upcoming projects, and upcoming programs. So facilities, this will take us to a link that talks about the different types of options available for different corridors. I'll go to that. Projects, that's about things that we're going to be doing in the upcoming year. So if we're going to be going out and doing some repaving, that'd be a project. If we might be doing some safety crossing, it could be a project. If we do decide to go for a connection between the Free Bridge and Meridian, that would be considered a project, and it can fall under that category. And the other one would be upcoming programs. So our lazy rides, our glow rolls, the walk to school day, bike to school day could fall under that. So first item I'll go to is the bicycle and pedestrian system map. So we've been working on this in the past. I've shared it with you, but I've tried to make it a little bit more user-friendly because we've been utilizing the Google platform for this data because it's free to us and it's pretty easy to update. And anybody that knows how to click on a URL link can go and look at this information in a Google map. They're already used to the interface. So I've showed the legend, so that way we have a better idea of what's a bike path, official bike path. So, for example, Meridian and Horse Mill, and the paths that we have by the school, which are considered paths, and then other paths. So, and drill down over here at Church Road with the Lutheran Church. They put in a path that connects their parking lot with a trailhead. That's included on here, but it's called an other path because it's not specifically part of our official bike path system. I've also included, the paths around elementary schools and over at Centennial Farm in that category. I've also included soft paths. So move up here to Horse Mill, along the Thoroughfare Canal, that has been identified. Unofficial paths that are, aren't officially recognized, but we know people are using, for example, is the ferry trail that connects, Gage and Knudsen to Ferry Road. We know people are actively using that. So I've included wide paved shoulders in here, I've included sidewalks, and then the purple are, planned corridors. So in the past, we've heard people overwhelmingly say, we want to look at something on East River, we want to look at something on West River. People have talked about Parkway, people have talked about the Anderson Cut. Anderson Cut, under this, I've considered an unofficial soft path, but we might upgrade that to something that's more official in the future. So this is one map that we can refer folks to and say, this is our plan. I think it's a good starting point for an official map for our commission, and something to be working off of. Additionally, under maps, I've included our map gallery. So the wonderful map that Jane has been our editor for and doing all the heavy lifting, and many of us have been being editors of, we include that on our website, and we'll be able to download that so that way people can have a user map of all the existing stuff, excluding stuff that's planned. I've also included the open space property map. And in the future, if I can find it, I create a lot of this stuff in the last week, so I didn't have a lot of time to put everything up there. But I'd like to have all of the other materials that the Open Space Committee has put together, and so that way people can access that and know all the details about the different trails within the open space, and know about the fit strip that just went in, for example. Additionally, I've included items identified within the recreation master plan. I'd say like a better map moving forward, but I just wanted to show you that we can include all this information. Then I have stuff for downriver linked greenways, our Iron Bell Trail route, and SEMCOG's non-motorized plan. So moving next, go into the plan itself. Put a little, information at the top. It talks about how this is the plan that we've been moving forward, but we can't do it without the help of our other commissions, without our township board, and without many of the other players involved. And it has the plan itself is going to be focusing on engineering, education, encouragement, and potential enforcement. And all these pictures are from Grozio. As I mentioned, start lead into, we have our team. So obviously there's BPAC, but I wanted to highlight, we need to approach our other commissions about this. We talked about this, but I want to get their official agreement that they like this concept. But what I'd like to do is, have everything on here about open space and provide links to our township website for the BPAC page for open space, recreation, DPS. But then I've also created parts of the plan itself. So I mentioned before facility types. So I've included information about shared use paths, which are our bike paths, about bike lanes, wide paved shoulders, soft paths, marked shared lanes. You go down the list, it's available. These are the things that we see in other communities. These are the things that we might be considering within Grosdale. So I think the idea with this is to say that as we're going ahead and doing more planning, again, we're focusing on the corridor and the need to connect people. It might be a shared use path, it might be a bike path, or maybe it's going to be one of these other items. We still haven't decided what it's going to be, or the timeline for doing these, but gives people an idea of what to be expecting. Next portion is about projects. So I've populated some sample information here. So talking about path and bridge maintenance, and again, this is draft, so it's not live yet, but talked about the potential millage, talking about sign minimization, potential connections of downriver link greenways. The public has wanted something on East River and West River, and then included additional information as we've cited within the recreation master plan. Last area was with programs, which I still need to populate more information, but I plan to have plenty of pictures that we can have about our specific events. And with any of this, we can have more links to more pages, so we can have as much or as little content as we want about anything that we're doing. The last item is about contacting us. So if they don't feel comfortable sending us an email, if they like this format better, they can send a message. We've got a link to Facebook, a link to the township's Twitter page, our email address, as well as a link to our web page. Sorry about that. On the township side. So I guess what I'm looking here from you tonight is just a sense, is this a positive direction? How do you feel about this? Should I move forward with it? Or is it something that we need to exercise caution and put on hiatus?
No, I would suggest go for it. I'm familiar with Rick. I have a website that I'm working on. What is your projected, what do you call that, domain? Mm-hmm. Do you have a domain in mind?
I do not have a domain in mind at this time. The fees are nominal, so I would think that if we just decide to create a domain, that it could come out of our budget. I think it's something like, I don't know, $60 to $100 a year or something like that. Wally, sir, how do you feel about it? I know that in the past there's been issues about communications, and I look at it as not replacing the township website, but just it's more about our specific plan.
I would think that there is still a strong possibility of folding this into a master township presentation, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think that when we start fractionalizing ourselves, we'll hurt ourselves. And that's, again, my personal opinion. I suspect it would be shared. Mm-hmm. As far as the content, it's most ambitious, like I would expect. And if you look at this plan and you see everything that you put into it, and you see the fact that there are 3 or 4 other places that need input from other places into this, you might have a big project. And I know SEMCOG can do stuff like that, and I know that you have the capability of doing stuff like that, and so I'm kind of comfortable with it. But again, I think that before we go and put together an elaborate program like this, why don't we get a beta version ready and show it off to this township board a little bit and say, this is what we would like to include. Yeah. We've got a pretty good website right now, and you've got a spot on that website. Mm-hmm. You could make it key to this.
You hit the nail on the head that I consider this beta. This is something that was in my control, that I could create, have a vision, put it to paper to show you guys what I was thinking.
Go for it.
As far as if it's its own URL, if it's part of the township webpage, I personally don't care. It's like that's a fight that I'm not interested in at all. All I want is to have some sort of document that is live and dynamic and that people are actually going to read.
Well, the point that I'm making is that you are a part of the township, and so you should mentally prepare yourself to be a part of the master. The second thing I'm going to say is not everybody is as computer literate as you or I might be. Mm-hmm. This committee might be. Things that big are intimidating people. So be prepared to have a non-technical version of some of this stuff. You put together a folder. This is really a part of this presentation, isn't it? Trifold that you're putting together for distribution at the welcome centers. It's in there. The things that you've talked about in this folder are in here. But again, I know people that don't own computers on this island. I know people that are terribly intimidated by them. So your audience is not as big as the entire island, I guess. That's what I'm saying. Those are my first thoughts on it. You can disagree with me. That's fine. But I'd love to hear what you think about it. The rest of you.
I think you made a good point, Riley. Not everybody are computer literate. That's true. But I think, Brian, I'm reading his mind. Our goal is to bring bikers to the island. Our goal is to bring people to come here to buy a house. We are bringing the community to a little treasure island. So we want to build the vision than just our people, our community.
You're looking at this as a presentation that other communities or other regions can look at it, and then it's even more sensible to make it. Because it is promoting Grosse Ile. That's true. I wouldn't argue that. But again, be careful. Be considerate of those not computer literate, and make sure that we're gonna march in concert with the rest of this township. It's one township.
Duly noted. Ted, please come up to the mic, sir.
As a communication administrator, I've crossed this bridge before, and I just wanted to bring this up. If you guys want to make a web page, that's totally fine, but like Wally said, you guys are a division of the township government, and we went through this and had this out with the Island Trust Commission. The Island Trust Commission has their own web page. All right, so you guys, and they take care of it, and I don't anything but just understand that if you do, and I'm not exactly sure how it's awarded, but the cable commission or the township government has to have administration rights to it. I mean, not that I don't do anything with the Island Trust website. They handle it all over. Brandy and Annette handle it over there at REC, but because it is Grosse Ile Township BPAC, the township has to have oversight just in case. I mean, because if anything was to be wrong with it or there's any liability, the township would be the deep pockets. You know, it would come back to the township. So I'm not trying to step on any toes, but we did cross that bridge with the Island Trust Commission. Also, earlier I heard you guys mention at the end of this week, at the beginning of next, we're going to have the Grosse Ile app done. Now, right now we're waiting for Apple and Google to go through it and make sure that we have it enough. And you guys have under the commissions, you have your own buttons. It's not very well developed. I mean, so if anything that you want on that app, once it's released, we can add to it. And we have an event section on there, so your events can all get added to it. And I encourage you guys, keep me busy. So, anything that's coming up, your rides, anything else, make sure you send them to me. But I just wanted to touch that base. I don't want any influence on you. If you guys do a web page, we'll link it. But give us the password and administration rights. I promise you I won't use them, but the township has to have them just in case. So.
Good information, Ted. Thanks.
Thank you. Brian, you've done a wonderful job here. And it's another way of communicating. What we were doing is advertising the community to a good place to work, to live, and everything. It's a different level of people who are computer literate, some people it's a forte. It's just another level of advertising Grosse Ile.
There's nothing negative about those that don't wish to use a computer. Please don't misunderstand me. I tell a lot of people that I can ride a jet. I don't know how to build one, and I can run a computer, and I do a lot of work on a computer. But don't get me into website design. All right, that's a brave new world that I don't want to enter. But again, the concept's good. I'd like to keep it from ever going adversarial in this township with anybody else, especially our town board. They're going to have to support you.
Yeah, I'm not looking to any sort of have any adversity. So, and I completely agree with you. There needs to be a non-electronic version of the plan, and Bob, I think you hit the nail on the head when we're talking about redundancy. It's like there's different ways to get the information out there. Some it's going to be low tech, some people it's going to be high tech, some people it's going to be word of mouth. But the idea is just to get the message out there, and then have some sort of document that is our our plan, so that way we can check that box within our PAC program that Alan's worked on many years, and we have a guiding document for all of our enthusiasm. Make sure we're not losing sight of anything.
Well, I think this is awesome, but I see it more as a tool for us. It's so detailed, and it's a great way to collect all of our thoughts. I mean, we get comments from the public, we have stuff that comes up at islands and things like that, and it seems like it's all captured there. If it is a platform for communication, yeah, we probably need to have another format to reach people who wouldn't be on this, wouldn't be on the internet. But I think this is awesome, and we should definitely go forward with it.
Anna.
I agree with Aaron. I think it's great information. I think you did a lot of really good work, very detailed.
Thank you.
And
I think it'd be good if you can put history, if you want, past slides, past flyers, past video. So that way people can see the history of it. Just a thought.
Yeah, and I want everyone to know, it's like, I want you guys to beat this thing up. You know, if it's something that you really like, but have suggestions on, I want to make it the best platform possible. So again, as Ted has mentioned and Wally has mentioned about putting it on the Grozio website, that's a great idea. If we can get this content on there, and hey, we're saving money, we don't have to have our own URL, that's fine with me. All I wanted was to show a vision for the document. As far as archives, I think that information's great. We should be able to include that. But let's even beat up the layout and say that this section should be moved over here, or we need a better picture, we need better content. I want some micromanagement. I'm looking for direction on that, because I'm kind of providing like the vision, the idea, but sometimes I need people to funnel in and look at the micro level details of stuff. Alan, I haven't heard anything from you yet. I want to give you a chance to talk.
Well, I think in any organization, especially a public organization, it's very fluid. And one of the givens is that technology is going to be involved. Not using technology is not to be current. I think it's going to help us. I think it's a great tool. It becomes fluid too. I mean, we constantly have to work on this, but I think it's a great program. Communication is always a weak link in every organization. I think this helps us to strengthen our communication skills. I like everything I've seen. I would love to see a picture collage of all the pictures we take at all of our events and just let it roll on the website so they can possibly see themselves in one of the pictures or show past events.
Thank you, everyone. That's all I have for new business. If there's nothing else, we'll go into reports and closing. Is there any upcoming rides and runs to publicize? I know you've already worked on the one and put it on Facebook, so do you care to talk a little bit about it?
Yeah. A friend of mine told me, don't forget to tell the public. Okay, I'll put in my calendar. Fun run, April 30th, I think 10 o'clock or so. You bring a dog, cat, alligator, come to the Centennial Farm, I think 10 o'clock, to support the animal shelter. And you can see the flyer, you can sign up on Eventbrite, which was easy. You just signed up and shove up and support the kitty and the dog. And also, this Sunday is this fibrotic run this Sunday.
This Sunday? Wow, that's coming up quick. Need to get something out there about that. Anything else? Wally, you have the floor with a Township Liaison's report.
I think I gave you quite a bit of a report as far as what's happened recently. We're heading fast into a new fiscal year and with new challenges. I couldn't figure out a better bunch of people that head into challenges with this committee. Keep up the good work, folks. I'm proud of you. You are doing a great service to your community, every one of you. So, thanks a million. End of my report.
Awesome.
So uncharacteristic of me.
I'm tired of hearing myself talk, so I'm pretty sure all of you are tired of hearing me talk. I don't have anything else to say except for to echo what Wally said. Thank you, everyone, for all of your hard work. Been doing some great stuff here, and look forward to even more hard work.
Looking forward to 2 more commissioners, hopefully.
That's the steak dinners, right?
Yeah, I have tickets if anybody's interested.
And
All right.
one last thing, Brian knows, just want to let you know that I'm going to Mount Pleasant end of April to represent BPAC, and I'm going to learn about bike safety, I'm going to learn about bike trails and design, all that whatnot. So I'm going to go to my Central Michigan University campus as a former student, and I will bring back the report in May.
Excellent. And I will send a link to everyone else on this commission if they're interested in going too. Long story short, it's a great summit on bicycle safety that it's centering on engineering and planning, but also the advocates and as well as the general public. So there's going to be opportunities to show the public how to ride defensively and make sure that you can share the road and make sure that motorists know how to share the road with you. So I'll send you more details on that. So, with all of that, comes time for a motion for adjournment. Can I get someone to make a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Support from Donna. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Closed at 9 o'clock. Everyone walk, bike, and drive safe.